Have recent U.S. immigration policies sparked an unexpected reversal in migration trends? For years, unauthorized crossings at the southern border have been a heated political issue, with waves of migrants seeking entry into the United States in pursuit of a better life. But now, a new and unexpected phenomenon is emerging: reverse migration. Many migrants are voluntarily returning to their home countries, and illegal crossings have significantly declined. What's driving this shift, and what does it mean for the future of U.S. border policy? In recent months, there has been a noticeable drop in unauthorized border crossings. Reports indicate that the tightened enforcement, combined with increasing difficulties in securing work and resources in the U.S., has led many migrants to reconsider their journey. Some have found themselves stuck in legal limbo, unable to obtain work permits or permanent residency. Others face overcrowded shelters, lack of housing, and an increasingly hostile political climate. As a result, growing numbers of migrants are choosing to return to their home countries, marking a dramatic reversal from past years when migration only seemed to be increasing. This shift raises important questions about what factors have made the U.S. a less desirable destination and whether this trend will continue. One of the biggest contributors to the decline in illegal crossings is the U.S. government's recent move to bolster border security. The Biden administration has deployed additional military personnel to key areas along the southern border, increasing patrols and surveillance. With heavily armed forces patrolling major entry points, many would-be migrants are deterred before they even attempt to cross. The U.S. has also expanded agreements with Mexico and other Latin American countries to curb migration before it even reaches American soil. Additionally, asylum restrictions have tightened, and new policies have made it harder for undocumented migrants to remain in the U.S. without legal repercussions. The combined effect of these measures has made illegal entry riskier and less attractive. But the impact isn't just on migrants. Criminal organizations that thrive on smuggling and trafficking have also taken a hit. Human smuggling has long been a billion-dollar enterprise, with cartels charging migrants exorbitant fees for dangerous border crossings. With increased law enforcement cracking down on these operations, smuggling routes have been disrupted. Cartels that once profited from the chaos are finding it harder to move people across the border undetected. Some are shifting their focus to other illicit activities, while others are retreating in response to heightened pressure from both U.S. and Mexican authorities. The decline in migrant crossings has also reduced the demand for cartel-backed smuggling services, further cutting into their revenue streams. However, as history has shown, organized crime is highly adaptable, and it remains to be seen whether these groups will find new ways to exploit the situation. For the first time, elite Border Patrol units have granted media access, offering an inside look at their operations. These specialized teams are trained to handle high-risk situations, from intercepting dangerous criminals to providing emergency medical aid to struggling migrants. Their mission isn't just about enforcement, it's also about humanitarian efforts, rescuing those who are abandoned or exploited during their journey. Many migrants make the perilous trek through deserts and rivers, often at the mercy of ruthless smugglers who see them as nothing more than cargo. The Border Patrol's work is a delicate balance between upholding the law and ensuring that human rights are not violated in the process. The question remains: how can the U.S. maintain security without losing sight of the humanitarian aspect of migration? Beyond unauthorized border crossings, human trafficking remains one of the darkest and most lucrative industries tied to migration. Criminal networks prey on vulnerable migrants, forcing them into labor exploitation or sex trafficking rings. Women and children are particularly at risk, with many falling into the hands of traffickers who operate in both the U.S. and Mexico. The scale of this industry is staggering. Billions of dollars flow through these networks each year, fueling corruption and violence. Smugglers often lure migrants with false promises, only to trap them in a cycle of debt and exploitation. Law enforcement agencies continue to crack down on these operations, but the problem is far from eradicated. Until there are stronger protections for migrants and more aggressive targeting of traffickers, this crisis will persist in the shadows. For years, lax border policies have allowed criminal enterprises to thrive. The lack of strict enforcement has encouraged traffickers, smugglers, and even terrorists to exploit gaps in the system. Cities across the U.S. have struggled to manage the influx of undocumented migrants, leading to overburdened shelters and strained public resources. Critics argue that previous administrations failed to take decisive action, allowing the situation to spiral out of control. On the other hand, some advocates believe that overly harsh policies violate human rights and fail to address the root causes of migration. The debate continues, but one thing is clear. A failure to enforce strong border policies comes with serious consequences that ripple far beyond the border itself. The recent military response at the border is a dramatic shift in immigration enforcement strategy. The presence of elite military units signifies that the government is treating this as more than just a policy issue. It's a national security concern. Troops have been tasked with dismantling organized crime networks and preventing unauthorized crossings. While this approach has proven effective in reducing immediate border activity, it also raises long-term concerns. How sustainable is a militarized border? What are the implications for civil liberties? While some argue that a strong military presence is necessary, others worry about the precedent it sets for handling migration in the future. The crisis at the border underscores a larger issue: the urgent need for comprehensive immigration reform. Current policies are reactive rather than proactive, addressing symptoms rather than root causes. Without a clear and enforceable immigration framework, the U.S. will continue to struggle with the same issues year after year. Targeted crackdowns on trafficking networks, streamlined asylum processes, and stronger international cooperation are all essential components of a long-term solution. Furthermore, sanctuary city policies, designed to protect undocumented immigrants from deportation, have come under scrutiny for potentially harboring criminals and enabling exploitation. The key question is, how can the U.S. uphold its values of humanitarianism while ensuring that the system isn't being abused? The influx of migrants has also intensified the homelessness crisis in major American cities. Many new arrivals lack access to housing, employment, or social services, leading them to live on the streets or in overcrowded shelters. Some cities have allocated resources to assist migrants, but this has sparked backlash from local residents who feel that their own needs are being overlooked. The tension between supporting migrants and addressing the broader homelessness epidemic has become a major political flashpoint. As cities struggle to find a balance, it raises critical questions about resource allocation and long-term solutions for both American citizens and immigrants. As the United States grapples with these complex challenges, one must ponder: are current immigration policies paving the way for a more secure future? Or are they merely addressing symptoms of deeper systemic problems? The recent shifts in migration trends suggest that enforcement efforts are having an impact, but the long-term effectiveness of these measures remains to be seen. Will the U.S. continue to militarize its border in response to migration, or will policymakers seek alternative solutions? One thing is certain: immigration will remain one of the most contentious and defining issues of our time. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Where do you think the future of U.S. immigration is headed?